Good morning. It is a time 8:04 a.m. on Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just watched the Loki finale. This is 5 more minutes. I will not spoil it here, except to say that is. Well, I won't get into any more story than that. But what I will say is that it's a hard one to give immediate, emotional, like, the question, for example, is the finale good? Is a more complicated question than you might realize. I'll leave it there. I will say that I liked it. With some caveats. Okay. Maybe just talking about the MCU in general is key. So without getting into anything that happened in the episode specifically, in general, I think any reservations that I have are ultimately not about this show really so much as the fact that the MCU, increasingly as time goes on, is more and more becoming kind of like what comics do, in the sense that each individual entry is not necessarily a complete story in and of itself. And the fact that there is a plan for all of this stuff to continue into all of these other stories and all overlap and interconnect can be a great joy. And I as a MCU fan, do enjoy that aspect of it. But it does sometimes mean that individual entries don't tell the story in the same way they would if that interconnected tapestry weren't the case. And so I guess I can't really say very much more. But I think some of what I will say is that a lot of what happened in a way that I predicted, but other parts were not quite in the way I predicted. There's some very cool stuff that I really do like. There's some things like I can't even. It's not even that there's anything that I don't like, so much as there are lots of unanswered questions remaining. I guess I'll just leave it there. Yeah, so I'm very glad I watched it, though, just because, as careful as I'm being to avoid spoilers, and I've talked on these videos before about how, personally, I think in general people make too big a deal about spoilers. Now, I'm trying to be respectful of the fact that not everyone agrees with me, and that's why I'm avoiding spoilers, because I know that there are lots of people who would be upset if I spoiled the episode for them, even though I personally think seeing how a show does it. Like, I get up early and I watch it first thing because I am also trying to avoid spoilers, but the truth is that if I get spoiled, it's like, It's more that I kind of like the ritual of doing it, watching it ASAP. But yeah, I mean, I have really enjoyed this entry into the MCU. Yeah, I keep saying I'll leave it there. The only other thing I guess I'll get into is we had a fun session of Dungeons and Dragons last night on so many levels. It was a little bit more of a side mission than it might have originally been, partly just because we were down one player, and so we kind of figured out to move forward. But it was a fun side mission, and I really it felt like it was leaning in that direction, so I kind of really leaned into a bit of a horror movie vibe to it, and I don't know, I had a lot of fun with it. I think I am increasingly teaching myself over the last few weeks that even though, as the dungeon master in these campaigns, I feel a desire to maintain control, like to direct things in a much more planned, deliberate way that allows me to, strategize and plan ahead and all of that sort of thing. I find that I am more satisfied when I allow myself to release that control and find out what happens along with the players. Now, last night was not necessarily the epitome of that, because it was more or less a self-contained little side quest, but yeah, I'm just finding that there is a lot of satisfaction that comes from releasing that control and relaxing a little bit. In any case, now that's all for today, and I will talk to you again tomorrow for 5 more minutes. All right, I have to press the button.